What's up guys, Isaac here playing some Team Fortress 2 live on PL Upwards, one of my preferred payload maps. I am playing as Heavy, as you probably noticed, using the Family Business, Holiday Punch, and what primary I'm using doesn't matter because that's not the point of this video. So, well, this is a new series you guys are watching, and it's called The Wise Decision because it's all about wise decisions in the game. And what I mean is I'm going to be talking about Team Fortress 2 game balance, and I'm going to be trying to help you guys form your own opinions by presenting points of view that people perhaps haven't taken the time to formulate before or just haven't presented before. And the reason I've decided to do this is because, to make a simple analogy, Team Fortress 2's new players since the free-to-play update have reminded me of a lost soul wandering in the world of online gaming and playing an MMORPG simply because it's the only thing they know. For example, well, I'm not going to diss MMORPGs. Personally, I have a little bit of a history with them, and I still enjoy some online RPG action from time to time, but the reason this reminds me of Team Fortress 2 new players is because when new players join, or when new online gamers first try an MMORPG, or just first get into online gaming, if the first thing they hear about is an MMORPG, they might think, oh, well, World of Warcraft, people say it's good, there's millions of players, maybe I'll like it, and then they'll try it, and they won't know anything else, so they'll think, hey, this is fun, this must be the only fun thing on the internet as far as online gaming, and then they get, you know, addicted to it. And I'm not going to say World of Warcraft is bad, but as long as people have that kind of reaction when they just first start playing online games, then they're going to miss some opportunities to really discover more about what they like, what they want in online gaming, and maybe someone, for example, I only knew about online games, MMORPGs before I knew Team Fortress 2, and now I enjoy Team Fortress 2 a lot more than MMORPGs, but I didn't know that back then because I didn't give it a shot. So the reason this is what I think of when I need to make an analogy for Team Fortress 2's new players is because they don't know much about how the game works. They just kind of play it, and they go with whatever flow the game suggests. So if the first item they find happens to be the Phlogistinator, they'll think, well, this is a new item, I should use it because it's a straight upgrade. Of course, what they don't understand is the impeccable game balance of Team Fortress 2 put in place by Valve, and this is why it's important, I think, to make this series. They need to understand game balance, understand character class roles, so that they can make better decisions as how to play the class, what to do, so on and so forth. And I'm dead. That's basically how this series is going to go. I'm going to talk about game balance for each of the classes, try and, you know, increase understanding of how the class should be played, when it's appropriate and whatnot, but also talk about how things affect game balance, including unlocks. And as you've noticed, I've played Heavy. I've been playing Heavy in this episode, and the reason is I'm going to be talking about the Heavy. And Heavy is, the reason I chose it first is because it's one of the more controversial subjects and one I personally have a strong opinion on. And it's often opposed because people think, well, it's part of the game. It's a valid class choice, no matter what. And I just, well, I'm not going to say it's not a valid class choice ever, but you just need to think about things before you settle on them and set your heart. And, well, again, I'm not going to try and make up your minds for you, but I want to present my argument as well as the other argument, and hopefully you guys will better understand both points of view and come to your own logical decisions. Now, the Heavy is generally recognized as a low skill ceiling class, and what this means is it does not take a lot of time, or as much time relative to how quickly the player learns, to learn this class to a degree of mastery than it does for other classes. For example, Scout. Scout, there are so many elements that take practice, so many hours of practice to get good at. The aiming, the dodging, the positioning, it takes huge amounts of effort to be good at Scout, and even with people who have played it for thousands of hours, I think it's unlikely that anyone has ever actually mastered the class. I know by name a lot of the excellent Scout players out there, but none of them, I can say, have actually mastered the class. In the case of Heavy, well, after about 100 hours of any class, I think, it doesn't even need to be Heavy, you can do well enough to hold yourself up, and after just 1,000 hours of playing Team Fortress 2, you've basically reached the maximum potential. And a lot of people complain about Heavy on the premise of it being overpowered, but I disagree with this. I don't think it's overpowered on its own at all, which is also why I don't mind when people just go Heavy on a random public server. If someone just goes Heavy, that's fine, because on its own it's a slow class. It may have a lot of health, but it needs to be too close to do enough damage to kill someone, and with its slow speed, a good team, or just people who are aggressive, will take him out before they really pose a problem. And that's also why it has a low skill ceiling. Without much need of aim, especially with miniguns, since it's just basically click and drag, and with slow movement, so you can't really do much about avoiding, you just need to kind of soak it up. You can't really learn to do much better. You just kind of go with what you can do and hope things go well. The reason I think the class is a problem is because it's got just two good benefits when in a good team. I mean, that sounds weird because it is Team Fortress 2, so you're supposed to work as a team, but for a low skill ceiling class where you reach your maximum potential without much effort, even if you're bad on your own, when you're teamed up with, for example, a good medic and a good demo man and maybe a good engineer, you have a benefit that is comparable to a literally unbreakable defense. Sentries, I think, well-defended sentries are the only thing that should need a full uber push to destroy. But when you have a Heavy with a medic and a demo man on defense, that takes an uber push on its own, because no group of classes that don't have an uber charge can deal with that. So, and it's even worse when you also have a sentry in that. It's, seriously? Dead ringer. Oh well. I'm not going to complain about the dead ringer. This is about the Heavy. So when you have that as well as a sentry gun, you need a miracle, not just an uber charge push, to get to a final point when they're on defense. It's basically, my poorly formatted argument here is that the rewards you get for not having to do much as Heavy when the rest of your team is doing well ruin the dynamic and the balance of the game, especially when you're playing against another team that actually is working together to try and do well. So it's I think it has a ruining effect on the game. When you want to have a fun game that's a little bit more competitive in nature than just a random pub, what you don't want is random spies to come up behind you and backstab you even though they weren't in the staircase a second. Okay. What you don't want is a Heavy to suddenly overpower the enemy's teamwork, even if you're pretty evenly matched, and just crush you. So that's why I think, even if it's valid in a public server, when playing on servers that I enjoy, like servers that require skill, they're skill-oriented, they're teamwork-oriented, Heavies should not be used, and that's why you need to be sensitive when you join a server with the intention of it being, a high-skill thing. you can't just go heavy and, you know, play to win. That's a ruining experience for others. Be sensitive to others. Heavy has huge benefits for you not really doing much as a team. It's a bit unfortunate, really, because I think I welcome any classes in Team Fortress 2 because they all have their own special traits, but if taken too seriously, it just kills the fun of the game. And you'd think that someone who has 1,000 hours of Scout would help their team more by going Scout, but if the team is working a bit together, even if he's never played a minute of Heavy, he can just go Heavy and suddenly help the team way more than if he went Scout. It's just, it doesn't fit into the game in a way that supports teamwork. It just supports, I mean, it does support teamwork, but in a way that kind of breaks the game, I think. So it takes a lot of thinking. You have to decide. Maybe you think, or many people do think, it's part of the game. It rewards team play, so it's good, it's fine. Just leave it as it is. It's not overpowered. But my viewpoint is that team play is already a winning element in a game. You shouldn't overly reward someone for just holding down the M1 and M2 button when you already have that upper hand of having excellent team play going on. So that's my view. And that basically concludes the video. Of course, I did say I would talk about unlocks in these videos. I don't have much to say about these. For the most part, I just want to mention a few of the miniguns. The Tomislav, which I'm using, is basically pointless. It used to have a much faster spin-up time, but now it's only, what, a little bit, like 10% faster? And for that reason, it's pretty much pointless compared to the minigun, because it does 20% less damage. So you can do the math. It's not really worth it. You take longer to kill people, and you barely gain any time. The Brass Beast is a weapon you should stay away from. When I said the Heavy is like having another sentry, or at least implied that, I didn't mean to take it seriously. That's just going to encourage camping, and a common theme in the loadout or item unlock sections of these videos will probably be bad habits, and camping with the Brass Beast is one of the worst habits, so stay away from the Brass Beast unless you're really just messing around. Next, the Natasha. It got nerfed in the past. It used to be really good. Now I think it's quite mediocre. You lose spin-up time, or rather you gain spin-up time and lose damage in order to slow people down, whereas just by using the minigun, if their goal is to escape, you're basically not going to gain any damage on them by slowing them down just because of the lost damage and the extra spin-up time. So basically it just kind of nullifies itself and gives you a slight disadvantage in combat against someone who's actually engaging you. So that's about it. Other than that, well, the hold-on Heatmaker, I mean, most people now can counter the fire, get away from it, avoid it, jump over it if you're a spy, backstab them, lose nothing, and all you lose is a bunch of ammo. That also promotes sitting around and camping a dispenser, which, again, is not recommended. And that's that. As for secondaries, the shotgun is pretty much pointless because you do have a minigun. Of course, running around with a shotgun weapon like I am doing is a lot of fun. So it's more of a silly thing, not a serious thing. If you want to play the game seriously, as a Heavy, which is first of all criminal in my view, the best item to use is Sandwich, or the Sandwich. And I mean, I use that when I'm not playing Heavy seriously, which I honestly never play Heavy anymore, so that's still never, but it helps the team in a way I'm fine with. It's not like overpowered or anything, it's actually helping other members of your team, and I think when Heavy is helping other players of the team, he's not just kind of like being a human wall that is indestructible. That's fine. The Heavy Sandwich heals himself and heals others, more importantly. It can heal up a medic to full health at any time. It's definitely recommended item, I think, for playing heavy. Other than that, most of the other weapons are basically irrelevant. The family business is a little bit better, I think, than the shotgun, just because the amount of damage you lose is not equivalent to 2 extra shots from it. So that's basically it. That concludes the video. I hope you guys learned something, or at least took on a new view and have gotten closer to really deciding on a concrete opinion on different classes and how they should be played. That's the goal. So see you later, take care, and stay tuned and subscribe, because when you see my next video, Bricks will you. My goodness, I still haven't gotten a, Yes, 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 yes! I did it! I win!